Let's talk a little bit about arrogance. There's a lot of arrogant people. And the two people I'm thinking of is Lance, the ophthalmologist, and Jake Steiner. They're equally arrogant in their own way, and it's ignorance. It's ignorance of the behavior of all eyes at birth. They both plunge into saying, oh, you need LASIK. Everybody should get LASIK. The man is ignorant of science, scientific truth. But it doesn't matter as long as he's medical and the subject is strictly medical. And the subject of the measured behavior of all eyes at birth is not medical. Only Lance is ignorant of objective science. And I mean refractive state is actually measured, not as conjectured. Steiner's in the same category, except that he's just plain ignorant of the eye's behavior. Doesn't want to understand anything about it. He loves to make claims, oh, you'll improve and so forth. And I agree to a certain extent. If you reduce the minus, the eye rebounds a little bit. So yes, reducing minus and the eye will rebound. Not a lot, but it does. And that's Jake Steiner's claim to fame. But it will never get to 2020. It may get to 2060. And if it meets 2050, he's getting close to passing the DMP. But here again, it's a matter of ignorance. I don't make claims about myself or anything I achieved. I went through liberal arts colleges, and then I went to engineering college after the Army, and was curious about electronics. And I was curious about my own bad vision, because I remember doing this. I was willing to take the blame. Yes, it was not a smart thing to do. Kids do dumb things, they pay the price for that. And then you get a minus lens. So I didn't really blame anybody. I just wanted to understand it. And when you're sitting in college, reaching the last year, you have time to think. And that's something you don't have if you're medical, to rationally think about things yourself. And what I got into designing control systems, you automatically assume that physiological systems are sophisticated, and competent. And so that was a line of thought I was following, knowing full well I probably wiped out my vision because of my habits as a child. Nobody's responsible for that except for me. But that approach to thinking led me to really ask questions. I was near the National Zoo, so I go over and look at the monkeys, and I wondered if you could track all their refractive states, what would happen? Let's say you just had some magical way where you could measure the refractive state of the eye as you change the average of accommodation. And it seemed to me that our refractive state going from plus to minus, or 2020 to 2050, was a control system. No failure, no defect, nothing wrong. It's just you don't want that to happen. So I had no connection with medicine. I still don't have any connection with medicine. And I see a lot of arrogance. And I'll let that be. You can judge that yourself. So my thinking was only, what about the completely natural eye at birth? Is it dynamic or is it not dynamic? That is not a medical question. It's an engineering scientific question, which you test by applying a step input, so-called, in engineering. Step input to the system should result in what's called an exponential response. It's e to the minus t over tau, if you look get into that sort of thing or design control systems. So I thought my conversations would be exclusively with people who can accept that type of argumentation in science. You will not get it in medicine. You will not get it from Jake Steiner. He just wants to sell you something that works immediately without any much in the way of reason, logic, or science. Even though I defer to medicine people because they don't know and they don't want to know. And that's sort of like Jake Steiner also. So that type of thinking, I wanted to see the data. And unfortunately, it's all colored by putting all the data into a broken camera before you have any chance to look at it or think about it. And that's what they do. That's what Lance Kugler does it. This is why you can't reason with him, any sense of the word. I know how difficult prevention is. I'm doing it myself. I don't expect any medical to help me or even understand why I'm doing it. So that type of thinking, my sister was living near Cincinnati, so Jake Rafelson was in Cincinnati. So I had to go visit him and see what the hell are they thinking? Why are they doing certain things? And Jake Rafelson answered my question. Didn't get a lot of right answers, but I got to meet Francis Young and Peter Green, as it turned out. And I keep on hitting the same thing, arrogance. They don't want to talk or think about it. The eye is a dynamic system. They're all taught that the eye's very tough, doesn't change for any reason. So you can put pluses, minuses, lenses in front of a camera, it won't change at all because it's a camera. And that's arrogance. So that is what got me to do videos like I'm doing now. Maybe you can learn something. I don't think you can. I don't think you will. Because you got to learn to do this before you get down to 2060. And I'm basically doing what Jacob Rafelson recommended, thought about. But he was an optometrist in 1900 with an intuitive insight of science, but didn't do him or anybody else any good except his children. So that's my cut on medical arrogance. They deserve it. They have a right to it. They have a right not to be questioned about any medical choice. But if it's something other than medicine, like fundamental scientific truth, there's an area where we got to learn questions, otherwise become victim of our own visual habits and a minus lens, which in engineering science only makes matters worse. Doesn't help. So how much are you in engineering science? If you're that type of person, you might be able to figure it out before your kid gets his first minus lens. You can't figure out, it's too late. I talked to some of the people who Jake Steiner inspired. I appreciate inspiration. But the problem is, if they were 2060 and offered a choice, they'd pound the table and say, you're cheating me to say a minus lens, plus lens is necessary. So they wait till they get down to 3 or 4 or 5 doctors and they say, I want to get out of it. And I say, why didn't you think about this when you're 2050 or 2060? You say, well, it's medicine. Many people tell me blah, blah, blah. And what they really tell you is get LASIK or you can't get out of it. I will say you can't get out of -3. I agree. But I will not say you can't get out of 2060, even though it means long-term plus wearing. And of course, I'm only doing what Jacob Rafelson thought about. I'm just doing it physically. As an engineer, thinking about the eye as a dynamics control system. So until the subject is separated from medicine and the arrogance of medicine, I don't blame them. People are ignorant. In fact, Lance could say that. People are ignorant. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them prevention. I don't owe them a choice. Just take your LASIK and eat it. So if you have some more commentary on arrogant people and how you've been treated, by all means, talk about it. If you want to learn how the fundamental eye actually behaves, that is the objective science. If Lance Kugler talks about it, forget it. You don't have a chance. Add your own commentary.